My foster sister, Shinjiji, could let others hear the first two lines of her inner voice. I, however, could make them hear it all. So when she used her thoughts to slander me, claiming I had abandoned my parents and sunk into a brothel, our parents did not erupt in fury as she expected. When the emperor granted me marriage to the crown prince, she whispered through her heart that I seduced him in a temple. Yet the betrothal was never annulled. She froze in shock. I rejoiced in silence. Elder sister, you've suffered much. Welcome home. Dressed in pure white, Shinjiji gazed at me with sorrow etched across her face, her tone soft and gentle. I stared at her face, dazed for a moment, until a childish voice rang in my head. Ah, so elder sister is the courtesan who once abandoned her parents and sold herself. Surely her foster parents mistreated her, forcing her into such a plight. I must take good care of her from now on. It was Shinjiji's inner voice. At once, father, mother, and my elder brother Shinhui darkened with rage. Mother, who had just been holding my hand with love in her eyes, suddenly flung it away as if dirted. Disgust clouded her gaze. I laughed coldly within. So this was how, in my past life, Shinjiji used her deceit to turn my entire family against me. No matter how I tried to win them over, they remained cold, for in their eyes, how could a daughter once from the brothel ever be worthy of affection? I was the blemish of the Shin family, forever overshadowed by their obedient, pure Jiji. But not this time. So what if I am the legitimate daughter? Once they know you are the courtesan, they will scorn you. Shinfu, you will not take what belongs to me. Another venomous thought burst forth in my head. I looked at father, mother, and Shinhui, faces full of suspicion one moment, but softened instantly under Jiji's innocent, smiling eyes. They convinced themselves they had misheard. How could sweet, gentle Jiji say such things? But the play had only just begun. Father, mother, brother, why do you look at me so? Elder sister just returned. Shouldn't you care more for her? She must have suffered much outside. Jiji stepped forward to cling to me, only for me to fling her away. She stumbled into Shenhuai's arms. Shinfu, what are you doing? Shinhui held Jiji tightly, scolding me. I looked pitifully at father and mother. Father, mother, I didn't mean it. It's just, younger sister pinched me so hard, I couldn't help but push her. I lifted my sleeve, revealing the red marks on my arm, and the untouched cinnabar of my maiden seal. Father and mother faltered, struck silent. You lie. I didn't do that. Jiji's voice grew shrill, accusing me instead. Father, mother, she pushed me on purpose. Shinhui immediately took her side, shouting, Father, mother, look at her. Jiji only wanted closeness, yet she slanders her. Truly a disgrace. Enough. Shinhui, Shinfu is still your sister. How can you speak of her so? Father snapped. Yet his tone softened as he looked again at my arm. Shinfu, Jiji perhaps did not mean it. You are the elder sister, don't quarrel with her. I lowered my head in compliance, biding my time. They still favored Jiji, the girl they raised as their own. For now, I would endure. Later, mother thought me gone and frowned. She acts sensible, but, husband, they say she sold herself to climb high, ignored her foster parents, and degraded herself. Would she truly be chosen as crown princess? Father sighed. Still, she is our blood. What can we do? If only Jiji were our true daughter instead. Jiji lowered her head, hiding her glee, yet her inner voice spilled out again. I stole elder sister's life, cast her into the brothel. If she hates me, so be it. I only wish she'll keep me here. Even as a servant by father and mother's side, I would be content. Shinhui blinked, then shared a smile with father and mother. No matter what, Jiji, you are the sister I cherish most. You will always be the young lady of the Shin family. No one can drive you away. Yes, Jiji. Even though your elder sister has returned, you will forever remain the precious jewel in our hands. Shinjiji nodded tearfully, her face showing both grievance and gratitude. I stood in the shadows, watching the harmonious family scene before me with a cold smile. Truly, such kind parents, such a benevolent brother. I only hoped that once the truth was revealed, they would still love Gigi so dearly. Just like in my past life. On the very first day I moved into the Mingzhou courtyard, Shinjiji demanded to throw herself into the pond. When the maids fished her half-dead body from the Moonview pond in my courtyard, she was barely breathing. She had deliberately chosen my yard to stage her little scene. Shinhui clutched her dripping body and roared at me, "Did you force Gigi to jump into the pond? What has she ever done to deserve being driven to death by you?" Father and mother glared at me with hostility. It was exactly the same in my past life. I had done nothing, not even had the chance to defend myself, yet father, mother, and Shinhui condemned me as the one who drove Gigi to attempt suicide. To make amends, they gave her the courtyard meant for me and punished me to live in the servants' woodshed. In that life, out of filial piety, longing for parental affection, I endured humiliation. But in this life, I will never again beg for their love like some pitiful wretch. Father, mother, brother, this has nothing to do with elder sister. It is my fault. Gigi said pitifully. But her inner voice revealed, elder sister said she would only be happy if I died. If my death spares father, mother, and brother any trouble, then so be it. Shinfu. How dare you drive Gigi to death? Shinhui jabbed a finger at me. Don't think returning here makes you the young lady of the Shin family. In this house, I recognize only Gigi as my sister, as the true young lady. What are you compared to her? Mother sneered, Shinfu, we brought you back not so you could bully Gigi. If you keep acting this way, then go back to where you came from. Enough. Father cut her off, face dark. You are in the wrong. Shinfu, apologize to Gigi. No, father, mother, it's my fault, Gigi said meekly. I only wanted to see elder sister's courtyard because I admired it so much. I didn't mean to upset her. Please don't blame her. Yet her thoughts whispered, how fortunate elder sister is, to have parents who love her so much and even build her such a courtyard. It's fine. I only wish father and mother would love me a little more. I don't want to lose them. Father fell silent, then said, an apology is not enough. Gigi almost lost her life. Since she likes this courtyard, Shinfu, yield it to your sister. Look at that, without a single word from me, they had already decided I drove her into the pond. I caught the flash of triumph in Gigi's eyes and curled my lips in a cold smile. A cheap trick, and you think you can rival me? Can you really contend with me? These fools are so easy to deceive. They've forgotten I know how to swim. But the easier they are to fool, the more I will gain. Gigi, what did you just say? The sharp voice of Shinhui pierced the air, his face full of shock. Gigi froze, then pouted pitifully. Brother, what are you saying? I didn't say anything. Father and mother also looked at her with startled suspicion. Their probing gazes made her squirm uncomfortably. After a long pause, mother frowned. Why, holding Gigi like that, do you not see how improper it looks? At last she remembered, Shinhui and Shinjiji shared no blood ties. Such intimate contact, if spread outside, would tarnish her son's reputation. Enough. Take Gigi inside and call for the physician. Once again, they chose to dismiss her words. Between a daughter once from a brothel and a girl raised under their care, naturally they placed their trust in the latter. But once, twice, they could say they misheard. What about 3 times? 4. Every time the same, what then? Shinjiji was carried by the maids into my courtyard, brazenly seizing what was mine. I looked at father and mother, hesitating. Father, mother, this courtyard. Before I could finish, Shinhui interrupted impatiently. Shinfu, didn't you hear me? It's just a courtyard. If Gigi likes it, then as the elder sister, you should yield to her. Mother chimed in, yes, just a courtyard. As the elder sister, you should let your younger sister have it. They instinctively assumed I wanted to fight Gigi over the courtyard, and before I could finish speaking, they were already scolding me. I froze for a moment, tears streaming down, and looked at father in grievance. Father, mother, brother, you've misunderstood me. I meant that the main room at the front hasn't been cleaned yet, it's not suitable for her to recuperate. But the room at the back has already been tidied, she can stay there for now. At once, Mother and Shenhuai's faces stiffened. Mother forced a laugh. So that's it. Shinfu, you are thoughtful after all. Don't act so virtuous. Shenhuai snapped. If you hadn't told her to die, would Gigi have jumped into the pond? Who knows if you've already hidden something in that back room to harm her? Enough, Shenhuai. Father cut him off sharply. Take Gigi inside. With a cold snort and a glare at me, Shenhuai carried Gigi into the room. Father coughed lightly. Shenhuai, you are Shin blood. We will not mistreat you. But you are the elder sister, if your younger sister likes this courtyard, then let her have it. In his heart, Father knew I had just returned and was being guarded closely. I had no chance to coerce Gigi into throwing herself into the pond. Yet, though he knew I was innocent, he still chose to stand with Gigi. Your sister is young. With you back, she's bound to feel jealous. If she does something foolish, you must be more understanding, do you hear? It sounded like comfort, but in truth it was a warning. I bit my lip in feigned grievance, lowering my head. Yes, Father. Father was satisfied with my compliance, and I too was satisfied with how dearly they treasured Gigi. Because only what is truly precious, when shattered, cuts deepest into the heart and leaves one wishing for death. After this incident, I guessed Father valued Shinjiji more than even his career. After all, news had spread through the capital of his great search for a long-lost daughter, even spending a fortune to build this courtyard as compensation. If word spread that the courtyard meant for his trueborn daughter was given to a foster girl, the censors would surely impeach him. Yet he still did it, all to satisfy Gigi's whims. Even so, I knew suspicion had begun to take root in his heart. The inner voice of Gigi that I had deliberately let them hear had planted a seed of doubt. If not, he would have punished me as in my past life, sending me to the servants' woodshed, instead of arranging another courtyard for me. But it wasn't enough. Deep down, he still trusted Gigi. If they loved her so much, why bring me back at all? Why take in a girl once stained by the brothel, a stain that could destroy the Shin family's name? Because the emperor would select the crown princess for the heir from among the legitimate daughters of noble houses. Originally, they wanted Gigi to enter the selection. But Gigi was not a legitimate daughter of the Shin family. If they sent her, the family would be guilty of deceiving the throne. That was why they brought me back. They wanted to become the in-laws of the future empress. This time, I would give them what they wanted. I would become empress. Only, when I was empress, whether the Shin family still stood was another matter. After the pond incident, Gigi fell gravely ill. I heard father, mother, and Shenhuai summon countless physicians, caring for her like a treasure. For a long time I did not see her again, until the day of the spring banquet. The spring banquet was held by the emperor and empress to select consorts for the crown prince. Gigi arrived with mother, waiting at the gates early. She always favored white, her entire appearance painted with a pure, elegant charm. I preferred bold colors. The moment I arrived, Gigi came running to take my hand, smiling sweetly. Elder sister, today many noble young ladies will attend. I am on good terms with them, I'll introduce you later. I remembered my past life. She had said the same thing. Yet before those young ladies, she revealed that I had just been redeemed from the brothel, ignorant of society, begging them to be lenient with me. Because of her words, the daughters of noble houses despised and shunned me, even bullied me. I smiled. Thank you, younger sister. But I do not enjoy mingling. I fear I will disappoint your good intentions. I gently pulled my hand from hers. Gigi put on a pitiful face. Very well, elder sister. Forgive me, I didn't realize you disliked crowds. But in her heart she thought, if elder sister mingled with these noble ladies, perhaps she would learn refinement and generosity. It would help the Shin family's future. Why refuse my goodwill? Mother frowned. Shinfu, Gigi only wishes the best for you. You must learn from the noble young ladies. Otherwise, with your petty manners, the vulgar temper of a marketplace woman, how could you ever be crown princess? Do not shame the Shin family. You are right, mother. I will learn from my sister. I replied lightly, but in my mind I plotted, they would soon know that their cherished darling was in truth the child of a courtesan. I ignored mother's scornful gaze and stepped into the carriage. Inside the palace, Gigi shone with confidence, surrounded by a flock of official daughters chirping like sparrows. I stood aside, silent. I had no wish to involve myself, yet someone still came up to me. So, you are Gigi's elder sister. As expected of a courtesan from the brothel, dressed like that, nothing but a shameless creature who only knows how to seduce men. It was none other than the crown prince's cousin, Princess Huihua. In my past life, she had led the pack together with Shin Gigi to bully me. I smiled. The princess is a peerless beauty. I am plain and ordinary, hardly capable of outshining anyone. Yuewa's face turned green with rage. How dare you mock me? Guards, slap her mouth. Princess, wait. Shin Gigi stepped forward, feigning worry. With a sigh she said, elder sister, why must you anger the princess? She is the one the crown prince cherishes most. Don't you like the crown prince yourself? If you offend the princess, he will never marry you. The more she spoke, the uglier Yuehua's face became. Everyone knew Yuehua adored the crown prince to the point of madness. Any woman who so much as dared to harbor thoughts of him became her enemy. Countless noble daughters had been humiliated by her, some even had their reputations destroyed. Yet she remained unscathed, for her parents had died defending the emperor when he took the throne. Because of that merit, her favor never diminished no matter her cruelty. I, however, had no intention of arguing back. Fight, fight. Let the crown prince witness you tearing at each other. The more he despises you, the more he will see my gentleness and virtue. The crown princess's seat belongs to me, and no one can take it away. Yuehua, who was about to lash out at me, suddenly turned to Gigi with suspicion in her eyes. Her expression shifted, uncertain. I kept smiling. Crazy girl, why are you staring at me? Why don't you strike that wretched Shinfu instead? Hurry, when the crown prince arrives, if you're not at each other's throats, how will he loathe you and admire my virtue? The next moment, Yuehua's palm cracked across Gigi's face. Gigi toppled to the ground, blood trickling from her lips. Slut! What nonsense are you spouting? Do you really think a false daughter of the Shin family like you could compete with me for the crown prince? Gigi clutched her face, staring in disbelief. Princess, what are you saying? It's Shinfu. She's the one who covets the crown prince. Yuehua swung her gaze back to me. I only shrugged and offered an innocent smile. So what if I am a false daughter of the Shin family? That's still better than a useless weed with a father but no mother to teach her. Why shouldn't I be worthy of the crown prince? Enough. Not another word. Yuehua's face twisted with fury. She pointed at the fallen Gigi. Slut. I don't care if what I heard is true or false. Anyone who dares harbor even a hint of desire for the crown prince, I will never spare them. With that, Yuehua stormed off. For a fleeting moment, panic flickered in Gigi's eyes. She must have been wondering why her innermost thoughts had been exposed for Yuehua to hear. As for me, I marveled again at the usefulness of the system's gift. Gigi rose slowly, her gaze dark and venomous. Shinfu, don't get ahead of yourself. You think being the legitimate daughter of the Shin family means you can be crown princess. The crown prince belongs to me. With a cold snort, she turned away to change clothes, for the crown prince was indeed about to arrive, together with the emperor and empress. I caught sight of Yan Fuguang's figure and felt a pang of daze. Hatred. Not exactly. But without his indifference and indulgence, I would never have died miserably in the cold palace. In my past life, the emperor and empress had originally intended to bestow marriage between me and Yan Fuguang. But because of Gigi's whispered thoughts, they believed I had once tried to seduce him inappropriately, and so the engagement was rescinded. Yet the Shin clan was a century-old house, with my father as senior minister of 2 reigns, foremost among 100 officials. The crown princess had to come from the Shin family. Thus the emperor and empress compromised, planning to make Gigi crown princess instead. They had even heard that father and mother loved Gigi more than me, and so felt she was the better choice. What I hadn't expected was that Yan Fuguang himself went to plead with them, declaring that he wanted me as crown princess. And so, I entered the Eastern Palace as crown princess. But Gigi entered as well, made side consort to the crown prince. Yan Fuguang treated me coldly, though never cruelly. I thought life could pass in such a way. Yet, aside from Yan Fuguang, everyone else desired Gigi to be crown princess instead of me. The endless torment of the empress, the scolding of father and mother, the curses of Shenhui, the whispers of eunuchs and maids, the schemes of Shinjiji, and the indifferent gaze of Yan Fuguang, each one had been enough to crush me. In the end, after Yan Fuguang caught me in bed with another man, I was deposed by the emperor into the cold palace, and Shinjiji had me poisoned to death. I had explained countless times that I was drugged that day, but Yan Fuguang never believed me. You are indeed the legitimate daughter of the Shin family, Shinfu. The emperor's solemn voice pulled me back into the present. I calmly knelt. Your Majesty, this daughter is indeed Shinfu. Her looks are truly exquisite, worthy of my son. The empress examined me from head to toe, clearly satisfied with my bearing. Of course she would be, because this very poise was forged by her torment in my past life, every detail honed under her harsh training. Now, she could only be pleased. But Shinjiji was here as well. Elder sister once shamelessly tried to seduce the crown prince at Putua Temple, surely she harbors feelings for him. Her inner voice made the emperor and empress's expressions grow darker. Only Yan Fuguang's gaze stayed fixed on me, unchanged. It looked steady, but I knew better, it was not the same within as without. As soon as the empress finished rebuking me, Shinjiji's eyes gleamed with smug triumph. So what if you are the legitimate daughter? You still lost to me. Once I enter the Eastern Palace, you will be cast out of the Shin family. The day you leave will be the day you die. I will be the only young lady of the Shin family, the future empress. But her gloating was cut short when the empress pinned her with an icy stare. No one who could become empress was ever a fool. Madam Shin, how bold you are, to defy my decree itself. At those words, mother collapsed to her knees in horror. This subject is wronged. Wronged. The empress's voice rang sharp. I commanded that only noble houses' legitimate daughters attend the spring banquet. Yet you brought a foster daughter. What is your meaning? Do you wish for this girl of uncertain birth to become crown princess? Your Majesty, this subject would not dare. Spare your anger. Mother knocked her forehead to the floor, trembling from head to toe. I only stood watching, offering no plea on her behalf as I once did in my past life. Back then, the Empress had used this same charge, but without true fury, only to gauge the Shin family's devotion to Gigi. This time, however, I had deliberately let the Empress hear Gigi's poisonous inner voice. Against a girl who would betray her own sister, ruthless and scheming, the Empress's wrath was genuine. Mother, do not let anger harm your health. Yan Fuguang soothed the Empress, then turned to me. Eldest Miss Shin, rise. His tone was soft, unbelievably so. I faltered. Could it be he had not heard Gigi's inner voice? Should he not hate me? After all, the one who compromised him at Putua Temple was me. At that time, I had only just been named legitimate daughter, not yet brought home. Overjoyed at learning I had kin, I went to the temple to give thanks. But I was drugged by Gigi. Her intent had been to make me disturb the crown prince, branded as an assassin, and killed. She herself had confessed this before poisoning me in my past life. Yet that night I did not die. Nothing came of it, except that Yen Fuguang threw me into a cold pond to soak all night. By all rights, he should have despised me. The whole capital knew of his obsession with cleanliness. And yet, something was different now. Yen Fuguang stood at my side and drew me to kneel with him. Father, mother, your son has already chosen. I favor the legitimate daughter of the Shin family. The emperor and empress's faces soured. To them, I was a girl of scheming ambition, one who had once sullied herself before their son. And worse, Gigi was still here. Her inner voice echoed again. What do I do? Elder sister is no longer pure. If this is revealed, the Shin family will be guilty, exterminated to the 9th degree. I curled my lips into a cold smile. Gigi truly stopped at nothing. To seize the crown princess's seat, even this slander she dared to utter. And this time, I let every single person present hear her heart. How could the emperor and empress be so blind? I made them hear that Shinfu seduced the crown prince, that she is no longer chaste. Why have they not dragged her down? And the crown prince, what does he see in her? I am also the Shin family's legitimate daughter. He must be blind not to choose me. Inwardly, I was astonished. Shin Gigi was truly reckless, to dare insult the emperor, the empress, and even the crown prince. Everyone present exchanged uneasy looks. At last, every gaze converged on Gigi. For aside from me, the only other legitimate daughter of the Shin family was her. Under so many stares, Gigi fidgeted uncomfortably. Why are they looking at me? Fools, all of them. I am the daughter of destiny. With my fate, how dare these people compete with me for the crown princess's seat? Do they not see how unworthy they are? Because she could project her inner voice at will, Gigi believed herself to be heaven's chosen, fearless of restraint. Guards! Drag her out and beat her to death. It was Yen Fuguang who spoke. His eyes fixed on Gigi, brimmed with loathing, dark depths struggling to contain his fury. Yet the emperor and empress, though displeased, stopped him. To execute the daughter of a minister without clear cause would incite scandal. After all, hearing another's thoughts was still too fantastical to be admissible proof. The empress instead seized upon the charge of Madame Shin defying her decree by bringing a foster daughter into the palace. She ordered Gigi flogged with 30 strokes. Before the banquet even ended, Madame Shin escorted both me and Gigi home. The moment we returned, she forced me to kneel in the ancestral hall, because I had not pleaded on Gigi's behalf. In the end, she still favored the girl she had raised with her own hands. Even after hearing Gigi's venomous words against the emperor and empress, she felt her daughter in heart was not wrong. She believed I had willingly entered a brothel. She believed I had seduced the crown prince. She believed I was no longer pure. Therefore, to her, Gigi's accusations were justified. If the crown prince favored me and not Gigi, then he was the one blind. It did not matter. I had tasted their bias in my past life already. Clutching the letter Yen Fuguang had secretly pressed into my hand, I laughed aloud. I would never love him, nor forgive his indifference of the past, but I would still marry him. On the 3rd day of my punishment in the ancestral hall, I received the imperial decree naming me crown princess. Yet father's expression was grim. After the eunuch departed, he turned to me with a heavy gaze. Are you still pure? Before I could answer, Gigi rushed to my defense. Father, mother, surely there must be some mistake. Please don't be angry. I cannot believe elder sister would be that kind of person. But her heart whispered instead, elder sister has lost her purity. If the crown prince discovers it, that is treason punishable by the extermination of 9 generations. If only I were the true legitimate daughter of the Shin family, I would gladly sacrifice myself to marry him in her place, to safeguard the clan. Father and mother's eyes lit with admiration at her words. You have once been in a brothel. To be safe, we shall claim your ill. I will memorialize the throne, letting Gigi marry the crown prince in your stead. Father's verdict fell, swift and ruthless. He did not even wait for my explanation, believing Gigi without question. The word father, how bitter, how hollow. Tears brimmed as I looked at him. Father, how can you say this? Though my foster parents once sold me to a brothel, I escaped midway and was taken in by a kind family. I have never lived there. And as a daughter of the Shin family, I know well how to guard my virtue. How could I be impure before marriage? Father faltered, glancing between Gigi and me. Did you not willingly enter the brothel? I met his eyes firmly. Father may send men to investigate. In Yu village outside the capital lives a family surnamed Yu. They witnessed my foster parents sell me away, and they themselves rescued me. If father refuses to believe, if you still deem me stained and unworthy of the Shin family name, then I would rather die to prove my innocence. In my past life, I had thought they knew the truth. In reality, they had never once investigated. They believed only Gigi's words. This life, I would expose her lies one by one. Father's expression wavered. At last, he said, send men to investigate. Gigi blanched, panic flashing in her eyes. She had never imagined father would truly act. She knew her words were false. She was lying. The seed of doubt sprouted wildly in father's heart. When the men returned with confirmation of my account, father's gaze on Gigi grew dark and fathomless. At length, he sighed. Shinfu, rest easy and prepare for marriage. Just now, father wronged you. I smiled obediently, tears falling one by one. It is enough that father believes me. There was guilt in his eyes, but mother's gaze was conflicted. She could not accept that the daughter she had raised, her pride, had lied. With the truth laid bare, her pride would not allow her to admit fault, nor feel remorse. So what if she lied? That girl still once sought to ensnare the crown prince. The emperor and empress despise her already. Even if she enters the Eastern Palace, she may never sit securely as empress. I ignored mother's provocation and bowed. Younger sister is taught by mother herself. I truly lack the refinement of a noble lady compared to her. From now on, I will listen more to mother's guidance. Father was pleased with my humility. He never again mentioned substituting Gigi for me, and even commanded mother to add generously to my dowry. On the day of my wedding, Gigi came with mother at dawn to my chambers. Mother's face was cold. Now that you are secured as crown princess, there is one matter I must remind you of. My heart sank, but my face remained respectful. I will obey mother's instruction. After you enter the Eastern Palace, you must persuade the crown prince to take Gigi as his side consort. So it was the same again. Even though in this life they already knew Shinjiji was two-faced and scheming, they still wanted to use me as a stepping stone so that she could become empress. In my past life, because I refused to yield the crown princess's seat to Gigi, they turned their dissatisfaction on me, allowing her to destroy me. I stayed silent. Mother lost her patience. Whether you agree or not, you must agree. Gigi has admired the crown prince for a long time. I raised her from childhood for this very purpose, that she would one day be empress. You, dragged back from the countryside, how could you be worthy of the title? Do not tarnish the Shin family's name for virtue and honor that has lasted generations. Seeing my expression darken, Gigi hurriedly interjected. Mother, don't force elder sister. I don't mind. If I cannot marry the crown prince, then becoming a nun is fine too. Tears streamed down her cheeks. But her heart whispered otherwise. I have truly disappointed mother's teachings, unable to marry the crown prince and glorify our clan. If I go to the temple, I cannot care for father and mother. I only hope elder sister devotes herself to our family and looks after them well. Mother sighed and clutched her hand with pity. Don't worry, child. I will make sure you marry the crown prince. I could hardly bear their mother-daughter display of affection. I only bowed my head obediently. Mother may rest assured. I will persuade the crown prince to accept my sister into the Eastern Palace. Good, let her enter the Eastern Palace. Otherwise, how could I deliver Gigi the retribution she deserves? Only this time, whether she became side consort or mere concubine, that was mine to decide. Once I agreed, mother pressed me no further. I was allowed to proceed smoothly with my marriage. On the wedding night, I waited long before Yan Fuguang finally arrived. He seemed slightly drunk, yet gently removed the pins from my hair. I suddenly recalled the note he once gave me, only 4 words, wait for me to marry you. Looking into the deep tenderness in his eyes, I felt a faint happiness. Not because he loved me, but because with his power, I was finally free from that household. After the marriage, Yan Fuguang stayed with me every night. Unlike in my past life, he was no longer cold and distant. Every few days he even took me outside the palace to play. The empress was displeased. Within the first month, she sent 2 concubines into the Eastern Palace, but Yan Fuguang sent them back. Staring into my eyes, his voice carried a trace of grievance. When mother sends them, why don't you refuse? If I favored others, would you not be jealous? I paused, then answered, Your Highness is the crown prince. Having many wives and concubines is natural. The empress is not wrong. Yan Fuguang gritted his teeth. Why don't you get jealous? I held his gaze, seeing his anticipation, then smiled softly. Of course I am jealous. Could your highness have only me alone? Yan Fuguang laughed, embracing me tightly. Shinfu, I will do as you wish. And so, he took Gigi into the palace, but only as the lowest-ranked concubine. That night, I seized Yan Fuguang's chin and snarled, You are never allowed to look at her. He only laughed and held me tighter. I was pleased. At last, I had discovered Yan Fuguang's weakness. I did not know why he loved me, but his devotion would smooth the path for my plans. As long as he loved me, I would ensure the Shin family and Shinjiji were ruined beyond redemption. Father believed that with me as crown princess, his own power would flourish, and the Shin clan would prosper. But he was wrong. Yan Fuguang quietly weakened their power at court. One by one, every official from the Shin clan was accused of crimes, stripped of their posts. And all of it, I asked Yan Fuguang to do. He never questioned me. The moment I said I did not want the Shin family to live in peace, he promised to see it done. And he did. Now, the Shin family was besieged on all sides. Father, helpless, sent mother to the Eastern Palace to plead with me. Yet she came in arrogance, pointing at my face and shouting, I told you, children not raised at their parents' side will always turn against them. Look at the crown prince oppressing our family, and you do nothing. Are you still a daughter of the Shin family? And Gigi, how could you let her be a mere concubine? I told you to persuade him to make her side consort. Do not think becoming crown princess makes you a phoenix. Without the Shin family, you are nothing. To dare scold the crown princess so, mother truly took me for nothing. I did not utter a single word in reply. How impressive you are, Madam Shin, Yan Fuguang said darkly as he entered. Mother hastily knelt. He supported me into a seat, but left her on her knees. Tell me, Madam Shin, do you know why I suppress your family? Mother stammered, I beg your highness to enlighten me. It is because of your good daughter, Shinjiji. She angered me and yet feels no remorse. She knows no rules, dares to offend the empress. I say, for the Shin family to send such a girl into the Eastern Palace, its heart deserves death. Your Highness, please quell your anger. Madam Shin kowtowed in panic. Please, Your Highness. If not for the Crown Princess pleading on your behalf, the Shin family would already have been implicated by your precious daughter, your estates confiscated, your clan exterminated. And you still dare come here to scold the Crown Princess. Today, take your daughter and leave. Otherwise, I will not guarantee her life. Madam Shin trembled as she withdrew, going to fetch Gigi out of the palace. I looked at Yen Fuguang with a sigh. Does Your Highness truly hate Shin Gigi so much? I do hate her, he muttered resentfully. She reeks, her dancing is unbearable, her looks are plain, she's not worth a single finger of my Shin Fu. Hearing those words, I could not help the faint curl of my lips. In truth, I could hardly blame him. From the moment she entered the Eastern Palace, Gigi tried every trick to seduce him, even drugging him. It not only enraged Yen Fuguang but made the Empress disgusted with her, locking her away in a woodshed of the Eastern Palace, little better than the cold palace itself. She had tasted, in part, the suffering she once inflicted on me. But it was still not enough. When news spread that she had been cast out, so too did the rumor that she had drugged the Crown Prince. Princess Huihua, already furious that Gigi had entered the Eastern Palace as a concubine, dragged her retinue to the Shin estate daily to torment her. The noble daughters of the capital joined in, isolating her, scolding and ridiculing her. Some even pushed her into ponds, delighting in watching her struggle for her life. Father and mother could not stop it, Huihua was favored, and the emperor and empress turned a blind eye. I, meanwhile, held evidence in my hands proving Gigi was born of a courtesan. I laughed aloud as I handed it to Yen Fuguang, who immediately grasped my meaning. The very next day, all of the capital knew, the Shin family's foster daughter, Shin Gigi, was the child of a brothel woman. I watched as Gigi became what I once was, despised, cursed, ridiculed. Even eunuchs and maids sneered, and lowly servants dared to bully her. The reputation of both Shin family and Gigi crumbled. No one dared marry a Shin daughter. Those already wed were even cast back to their natal home. For if the Shin family took in a courtesan's child as their own, who could know whether a daughter they married was trueborn or not? Under the pressure of the entire clan, father had no choice but to erase Gigi's name from the family registry and cast her out. But mother and Shin Hui resisted. It was said mother swore Gigi was her own daughter and refused to let her go. My heart went cold. So it was not because of brothel rumors that mother despised me, it was simply because she never loved me. She truly hated me. Even if Gigi was born of a courtesan, mother still cherished her. A fine mother indeed. She even beat an old nurse to death, the very nurse who had first brought Gigi back from the brothel, while I was thrown to peasants. Before dying, the nurse was forced to change her testimony, to swear that Gigi had not come from the brothel, else her family would be killed. She changed her words, but no one believed her. Mother only deceived herself, keeping Gigi in the Shin household. But less than half a month later, another scandal erupted. Shin Hui and Shin Gigi had become husband and wife. Mother went mad. Her love for Gigi was real, but Shin Hui was her very life. The wife she dreamed of for him was to be a noble-born lady of high family, not Gigi, the daughter of a courtesan. Yet Shin Hui was willing to marry her. I was not surprised. His affection for Gigi had long surpassed that of brother and sister. I had known it, even in my past life. That Shin Hui married Shin Gigi was within my expectations. From the moment he took her as wife, his career was doomed, and so was the Shin family. With a daughter-in-law born of a courtesan, Shin Hui could never advance another step in his official career. By destroying him, the son father and mother prized most, I destroyed the very foundation of the Shin clan. That was their price for indulging Gigi in my past life, when she schemed me into death. Yet Gigi still refused to give up. She went to my foster parents, persuading them to accuse me of willingly selling myself into a brothel for ambition. They even produced the deed of sale they once used when they sold me away. Rumors swept through the capital like wildfire. I did not panic. Instead, I sent people to investigate and uncovered something else. Gigi's true identity. My foster parents were not of Diyen at all, but from the Southern Kingdom. I recalled then, since childhood they beat and scolded me constantly, except on full moon nights. On those nights, they vanished until dawn. The ones I sent out reported that on every full moon, they went to a certain brothel, the very one they had first tried to sell me into. There, they sought out a courtesan, the woman who had given birth to Gigi. That courtesan was the blood sister of the king of the Southern Kingdom, which meant Gigi was a descendant of the Southern royal clan. I was startled by her lineage, and even more by the Shen family's treason. When I reported this to Yan Fuguang, he ordered an investigation. My foster parents were tortured for confession, and it was revealed that even the old matron at mother's side was a Southern spy. It was she who had switched me and Gigi, so that Gigi could marry into the imperial family and eventually become empress. If Gigi bore the crown prince a son, half the Diyen dynasty would fall under Southern control. Their ambition was nothing less than the empire itself. The Shen clan, knowing they had offended Yan Fuguang and that their future was bleak, obeyed Gigi's urging. They allied with mother's natal kin, the Marquis of Yuwen household, which for generations had commanded the southern border facing the Southern Kingdom. Once the plot was uncovered, Yan Fuguang struck swiftly, crushing the rebellion before it could even begin. He reported to the emperor and empress, if not for Shen Fu uncovering Gigi's identity and exposing the conspiracy, the people would have suffered war. By framing it this way, he shielded me. And the emperor and empress's doubts toward me dissolved completely. I gladly accepted his protection, for it only secured my position further. The Shen family and the Yuwen Marquis were thrown into prison. On the day they were sentenced, properties confiscated, clans executed, I went to the prison to see them. Because I had exposed the treason, I was untouched, and my position as crown princess unshaken. The Shen family looked at me as though at a savior. Shen Fu, save us. We are your parents. Father and mother's eyes begged. The crown prince favors you so much. If you plead with him, he will surely listen. I sneered. Now you remember I am your trueborn daughter. Lord Shen, Madam Shen, you know well enough how you treated me. When you chose to follow Gigi into treason, you never once considered my life or death. Why should I save you? Gigi wept bitterly. Elder sister, even if you hate me, they are still your parents. How can you not save them? But in her heart, she thought, she refuses because she hates me. If I die, will she save them then? Enough. Stop speaking. Father suddenly roared, voice hoarse with rage. If not for you letting us hear your vile inner thoughts, making us believe Shen Fu had shamed herself, we would never have mistreated her. You are the reason we grew apart. You ruined us. Gigi's eyes darted away. Father, what are you saying? Inner thoughts. I don't understand. Don't pretend. Father's face flushed red. It was you. You thought Shen Fu sold herself willingly, that she forced you to the pond, that she seduced the crown prince and was no longer pure, that is why I turned against her. You are the one who destroyed us, wretched creature. Mother stared blankly at her, speechless. Shen Huai's gaze was colder than a serpent's. Gigi, why could we hear your thoughts? Why did we misunderstand Shen Fu? Why did we follow you into treason? Do you truly know nothing? Gigi's voice trembled. I don't know. How long will you keep pretending? Shen Huai lunged, seizing her throat. You told yourself you were a southern princess, that the Southern Kingdom would send its armies to aid our rebellion. Then why, when the Yuan forces at the southern border were encircled by Yan Fuguang, did no soldiers come from the south? Answer me. I laughed. My dear brother, why? Because she deceived you all, of course. She only wanted to destroy you. Do you still not understand? Division was not her weapon alone. Now all was ruined. The Shen family was finished. we were all as good as dead. And it was all because of you. Xinhuai's eyes were bloodshot, his hands tightening around Gigi's throat. She choked and struggled, gasping for air. In the next instant, I saw her pull a hairpin from her sleeve and stab it into his arm. Breathing again, Gigi laughed wildly at father, mother, and Xinhuai. You think I destroyed you? Wrong. It was your selfishness, your favoritism, your coldness toward Xinfu. It was your measuring, greedy, shameless hearts that drove you here. What she said was true, they had heard the thoughts she wanted them to hear, but I had also let them hear her true heart. They had only chosen to cover their ears, preferring illusion to truth, and in the end, under the lure of benefit, marched into ruin. Father. When you believed I had fallen into a brothel, did you not consider killing me for the sake of the Xin name? You never thought to investigate, you condemned your own blood daughter without hesitation. Mother, did you place me in the Eastern Palace out of love? No, you only wanted to prove that the girl you molded with your own hands could become empress, for the sake of your pride. And you, Xinhuai, you rebelled for what? Was it not for ambition, for power you lusted after? Gigi's voice rose, venomous. Even if you heap all blame on me, it does not change the truth, that you are selfish and ugly. Enough. Die, die. Xinhuai ripped the hairpin from his arm and stabbed her again and again. Her screams echoed through the prison, her blood splattering across the stone floor. She writhed, crying out for help. Mother, save me, save me. She crawled toward Madame Xin, her voice weakening, but Xinhuai's blows rained down, each thrust venting his despair. The air reeked of blood. Gigi lay in a pool of crimson, her body twitching weakly. At last, with her final breath, she gave a faint laugh. Xinhuai. I forgot to tell you. I was carrying your child. His hand froze. Slowly, he turned to stare at her lifeless, blood-soaked face. Tears of blood streaked his cheeks as he laughed, then wept, then clutched her corpse and howled. Xinhuai took his own life in that prison cell. Father and mother, watching their son die, lost all will to live and followed him in death. I stood, staring at the blood-written letter they left behind for me, at a loss. They begged my forgiveness, but I had none to give. The poisoned wine Gigi gave me in my past life, its poison had come from father's hand. Now, between us, there were no debts left unpaid. May we never be born into the same family again. The Xin family and the Marquis of Yuan were no more. Some courtiers petitioned the emperor, declaring me unfit to be crown princess and urging my removal. But Yen Fuguang swept aside all voices, even threatening to abandon his position as crown prince if necessary, just to preserve my title. I asked him why. He only smiled gently, his eyes reflecting me alone. Because I recognized only Xinfu as my one and only wife. The end.